Hello and welcome to another Courtside tennis review. Today we're talking about the Yonex Percept 97. In many ways this racket is actually very similar to the previous generation, which was the V-Core Pro 97. Yonex has now changed the name of their lineup to Percept, which I am personally in agreement with because I feel like calling it V-Core and V-Core Pro made things a little bit confusing. So the V-Core Pros are now the Percept. The Percept 97 is an example of a racket that didn't change too much from the last generation. However, there are some differences, small but meaningful. Most of the specs are pretty much the same, but the meaningful differences would include a more responsive feel, and this seems to be achieved by less or none of the vibration dampening material that was famous for making the V-Core Pro models some of the most comfortable and buttery rackets ever. However, a common complaint on the V-Core Pro models was that they felt too soft, some might even say mushy. And it seems that Yonex has updated their dampening materials to achieve the same goal without making the racket feel mushy. So, the new V-Core Pro, the Percept lines in general, are slightly firmer, slightly stiffer, but still some of the most comfortable rackets on the market. And I was actually in the same boat of people that felt like the V-Core Pro feels amazing, but it's a little bit too soft. And I really noticed that at the top end of my power. When I was going for 100% of my power, I felt like I'd only get somewhere between like 85 to 90%. So it felt like a big trade-off in power, mostly only on the top end. I didn't really notice it until reaching the top end of power, which is kind of interesting. There's this sudden plateau of power that drops off somewhere for me around that 85 to 90% mark of my full power range. So it's nice to feel like I can still enjoy that comfort without that huge trade-off in power. So anybody that thought that the last generation of V-Core Pros was a little bit too soft or a little bit too mushy, I think you guys will appreciate the updates to the Percept line, and you'll still appreciate the level of comfort that it brings. So in my opinion, a really happy, small but meaningful difference between the Percept and the V-Core Pros. The things I like about this racket are probably at the top of the list, the amount of comfort that you get, but you get so much control. I really love coming to the net with this racket because it has such good touch. You have such good depth control. This racket actually makes it easy to hit a really threatening drop shot. One frustration I had with the V-Core Pros was that I struggled to push opponents back. I was able to enjoy how good the drop shots were, but I almost felt like what's the point hitting a great drop shot if I can't push my opponent's way back first and then hit a great drop shot. So all in all, I think this racket actually has better overall range of playability or depth of court, if you will. The last generation just took a little bit too much of that top end power off. So it's really nice to have some of that back. You also have pretty good access to topspin on this racket, surprisingly. It might seem counterintuitive that a racket this comfortable would have good access to topspin, but that just happens to be the case. Now there's other rackets in this lineup that have a much lower launch angle and less access to spin. Those favor a more flat playstyle. But the 97 Percept is a spin-friendly, comfortable, and all-around highly accessible and playable racket from any area of the court. If you're ever in the Sacramento area, stop by Courtside Tennis. There's 2 locations with all kinds of rackets to choose from, even accommodations for pickleball. Lots of demo rackets, shoes, strings, and Courtside Tennis even carries Restring Zero now. And you guys know I'm a fan of that. And if you want to hear more from me or see my channel, you can check me out at Time for Tennis, where I say more about Restring Zero and other rackets. And without further ado, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in a future video either on my channel or here at Courtside. Take care, happy hitting, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye for now.